The lead story on the Huffington Post homepage caught our attention this morning, and this is why. It reports that just 9 days after Staff Sergeant Robert Bales' alleged shooting rampage in Afghanistan, a top-level Pentagon health official ordered an emergency review of the military's use of the drug Massacre. It's also called Larium. It's a drug previously implicated in military suicides and murders. So here's the question we're all asking this morning. Did Sergeant Bales take Larium when he was in country? And was an emergency review of this drug ordered because of that shooting spree? CNN has reached out to the Pentagon. We are waiting for confirmation. And until then, we've got the author of the Huffington Post article, investigative reporter Mark Benjamin. So, Mark, you don't make a link between Bales' alleged shooting spree and taking this drug, but it is definitely implied in the article. So tell me about this task order that you got from a military source.
That's right. The importance of the task order is that it says to all doctors and people that are prescribing medications in the military, we have a problem. And the problem is that they are giving this drug to soldiers who should not be getting it. This is a drug that crosses what's called the blood-brain barrier, and it goes deep inside the brain. It can cause very serious problems, including psychotic reactions. That's what it says on the drug's label. What it says is that even people who have traumatic brain injuries and other problems who should not be given the drug are being given the drug on the battlefield. That's the importance of the review.
So, Mark, what was your sourcing for this task order, and why did you feel comfortable going with this story?
I felt comfortable going with the story because it shows that there's a problem out there on the battlefield. My sourcing is a military source who, frankly, is very concerned about the dangers of this drug and doesn't think that people in Afghanistan carrying machine guns should be taking this drug. Having said that, the real importance of it is that the Army is now saying that there's a problem out on the battlefield, and somebody like Bales should not be taking this drug. And I would say I do not know whether Bales took the drug. Just do indicate that where they are giving it to soldiers is out in the battlefield, out in these outposts that are out, basically in the bush, and that's where Bales was.
Well, you do mention a number of cases in your article of past suicides, homicides that involve troops taking the drug Larium. Tell us about a couple of these cases.
Typically what you'll have, I mostly looked at very elite soldiers, special forces soldiers who typically do not commit suicide or commit suicide in very low percentage rates. And what I found is a series of cases where soldiers would take the drug and they would have a cluster of symptoms. They would have mental problems, psychotic reactions, but they'd also have rashes, they'd have problems with their vision, they'd have vestibular problems or dizziness, they'd have intestinal problems. All that would happen at once. It looked like basically they were being poisoned, and then in several cases they acted out killing themselves and or others.
We also know for sure, and this has been documented, that Bales has a TBI, a traumatic brain injury. What we don't know is that he took this drug, Larium, for malaria, obviously. But you did discover in your report a link between TBI and this drug, right?
That's right. The Army says people who have a traumatic brain injury, who have a problem in their brain, should not take this drug. And, Kara, while I've been sitting here in this chair, I got a note from the Office of the Secretary of Defense, and they said, well, this review started before the massacre, and so it's unrelated. I'm not sure that that's really the point. I mean, the point is that this is a document where the Army is saying, whoa, guys, there's a problem. People out there in the bush who have traumatic brain injuries, like Bales, are taking this drug, and it could cause a problem.
I'm only assuming you're going to do a follow-up if you're already getting emails there from DOD. Will you be doing that soon? Are you getting a lot of response to your investigation?
Absolutely, and there's apparently groups on Facebook, Veterans Against Larium. There's quite a few service members who believe they've been harmed by it. And again, I think the side effects are pretty well documented. What the military is not saying is whether or not this guy took the drug. It is malaria season in Afghanistan. If anybody was taking the pills, it would be now in the spring, and we need to know.
Mark Benjamin, we'll look to your follow-up. Appreciate your time today.
Thanks for having me.
You bet.